Hi, welcome back. In our previous lesson, we learned how to create an accountant's copy and send that to our accountant so that they could work in the file and make any adjustments for the previous year or the previous period, and then send those adjustments back to you. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to import those changes from your accountant. So after your accountant has completed their review, you'll import the changes or adjustments. They'll send that to you, the file to you, either by internet or email, whichever they prefer or whichever you prefer. So I'm going to go back to my QuickBooks company. And now you should notice that whenever you have an accountant's copy that's pending or your accountant is currently working on, you'll see up here right after your company name that it says accountant's changes are pending. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go into File, down to Send Company File, Accountant's Copy. Then under Client Activities, I'm going to select Import Accountant's Changes from a File. Now, if your accountant sends them to you through the internet, then you'll use Import Accountant's Changes from Web. The process is basically the same. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Import Accountant's Changes, and then we'll have to navigate to where our file is. I saved a file out here on my desktop, so I'm just going to select that. You'll always want to make sure that you're selecting the correct file, and then I'm going to click Open. And now we get the window that says Accountant's Changes are not yet incorporated. What we want to do is just click on Incorporate Accountant's Changes. You'll get the pop-up that says all the windows need to close. That's okay. And then we're going to need to make a backup before we can proceed. I'll say okay. And that backup is just in case something goes wrong with our import. So I'm going to go ahead and save this again in my Dropbox folder like I did on my previous backups. I'll click Save. And this backup doesn't do any data integrity check, it's just a plain backup. Our backup is complete, and now we're going to incorporate the changes. And if you wanted to see the transactions before you imported them, you will be able to click on those here and get additional information about them. So I just did just one basic transaction so that you could see that it works. I'm going to go ahead and click on Close here. And I'm going to go ahead and say that we want to update our closing date password. What that closing date and password is, it just prevents people from entering transactions that are in a period that's already been reconciled or already been complete. So I'm going to click down here at the bottom. This is in our preferences, by the way. I'm going to click down at the bottom where it says Set Date and Password. And I'm going to say that I don't want anybody to make any adjustments that are from 12/31/2016. So that period is closed, and then we will set up a password. This password is different from your data file password. It just allows you, if you actually do need to post a transaction with a date earlier than the closing date, that you will be able to override that closing date limitation. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. I'll click on OK again to save our preferences. And now if we were to go back and try to post to 2016, we would not be able to do so. Okay, so if we wanted to see our transaction, I'm just going to show you real quick. That the transaction we imported, I'll just do a previous to look at it. This is the transaction that we just imported from our accountant. So if you get a lot of changes from your accountant, some accountants do send back quite a few adjustments for previous years for adjusting depreciation or amortization, adjusting interest on loans, etc., then the import is a very quick and easy tool to use. Now, one other thing I wanted to cover here, if for some reason possibly you send your file to your accountant, they're either not quite ready to work on it, or you discover that you need to add some additional transactions to the closed period, you can come down to Send Company File, then accountant's copy, then client activities. And it's grayed out now because we don't actually have a accountant's copy pending. We just imported those changes and that canceled the accountant's copy. But there is a remove restriction down here at the very bottom. You could click on that remove restriction, and that would indeed let you remove the restrictions. If you wanted to send another copy to your accountant, you would have to create a new copy to do that. Okay, so that is it on the accountant's copy. Again, make sure if you're planning on using the accountant's copy that your accountant is actually using a software that will let them work in the file the way that you think that they're going to be working in it, so that you won't be expecting transactions to come back to be imported when that won't be the case. But if your accountant is using this, it's a great tool for speeding up and eliminating some duplicate data entry.